Hello jamming gamers and ghosts, we have news. We have Ubisoft news. News that could affect the release of the next Ghost Recon in the franchise. Different to our usual Wildlands or Breakpoint content, go check that out in the links in the description. Today it's going to be Ubisoft news that might reflect, well no it doesn't, it reflects quite poorly on the potential release of the next Ghost Recon project, dubbed Project Over. Whether it comes out as Project Over or even comes out at all is yet to be seen. But let's see what Ubisoft news is from our old friend Tom Henderson. This is released in January the 8th, 2025, and the article goes over a number of elements, including the current state of Ubisoft, the buyout talks, Assassin's Creed Shadows, management hell, and its uncertain future. Now let's take out some of the highlights of this article. So particularly the one, if you haven't been up to date with Ubisoft as a whole, but they are circling the plug hole. Particularly in this part where he shows that in February 21, your stock price was a high of $84, and today it's a mere $12.50. That's a huge reduction, 85%. If you invested $1,000 way back in Feb 21, you'd be looking at about $150 left over. And that's not a lot, even if you convert that to your pounds pence in the true British sterling. It's not a lot of dough left over, so things aren't looking good. And that can affect games and projects like our much beloved Ghost Recon franchise. Now Tom, the ever credible inside gamer, has his sources and there are talks of buyouts. Now Tencent is the company that wants to try to buy it out and are likely going to take it private. However, that involves booting out the existing family who have the controlling share. And they don't want to do that. They don't want to lose their company. So what appears to be the case is that actually Ubisoft is really hinging on the success of Assassin's Creed Shadows. This is the game that's been slated by some in the community by already the presence of certain characters in Japan that they feel aren't supposed to be there. I personally think they're wrong. There is some historical backing to this as well. So they're probably just a little bit they're not the main protagonists themselves. They need to grow up a little bit. But hinging your hopes and dreams of a whole company on a single game, which is really just living off the tag Assassin's Creed nowadays, it's a lot to pivot on. So hopefully, you know, they can do something special and it's not just a rip-off of Ghost of Tsushima, but we gotta wait and see. Ubisoft's model recently seems to have been just copy the latest fad and hope you can get it on the shelves quick enough before people run out of the hype. But let's look at the mismanagement hell. So it's around Ubisoft and mismanagement going hand in hand. Pretty damning, but people that have been following this will sort of see that and be nodding along. Huge projects like Skull and Bones, Beyond Good and Evil 2 have just slumped. Evil 2 hasn't even been released despite being announced 16 years ago. That's not to say it's going to be a poor game. Cyberpunk, when it was released with all the updates, was actually a good game, and that spent years and years in development, and it was the fans that were rushing it through, and lo and behold it wasn't ready. So again, the fans' fault, right? Or that minority that the company just decided to listen to. But what's interesting is this Project U. Project U has returned to the drawing board, but is still getting money pumped into it, up to around the 100 million mark. So there must be some large things in the works that they are still keen on releasing and still confident that can make them a good chunk of money. But X-Defiant, and this is quite a damning case, it did look really good. It did start off very well, but that is the risk, right? If you're flooding the market with that's already saturated, hoping that people are going to buy your skins and buy your other things, are you going to be able to compete with a vast, huge, and established markets like COD or your free release Fortnite? It's not the same. It's a risky move, but is it jumping on that fad and that bandwagon? Interesting part, and maybe damning a little bit as well, saying that they're really just marking their own homework with this investigation. That's not really going to bode well, I think, in terms of actual transparency, as well as the CAO seemingly wants to go down with the ship. I mean, we don't want Ubisoft to go down, we want our Ghost Recon. And the article then spurs into the uncertain future, suggesting that going private seems to be the likely way forward, and a decision that it should see the survival of the company, dependent on the influx of cash from their pending releases. Again, strange or scary that it's resting on Assassin's Creed Shadow, but we've got a huge array of big title games waiting to come out. So if we can get these over the line, if Ubisoft can really push these out, a finished quality product that hits the mark and doesn't get slammed for being unfinished or behind high paywalls, then what's to say they can't bring it back? But really, there you have it, guys. That's the state of Ubisoft at the moment. This uncertainty is what can really affect Ghost Recon Over, and that's why it's scary for us, the fans, the people that really want this to succeed, and for us to get our hands on the next Ghost Recon game. Let us know your thoughts on Ubisoft's current situation in the comments. I'll leave the link to the article in the description as well. Check it out for yourself. Otherwise, like, comment, subscribe. We've got more Project Over stuff in the wings. We've got more Wildlands, more Breakpoint content to come. Thank you. See you later.